Catch up with the mayor of this fine, beautiful city, Mathew Dickerson. Morning, Dicko. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I've got to be a bit technical there. It's actually the mayor of this fine, beautiful region now. I've had a few people when I've said about this city, and now it's much broader than the city. It's Wellington, it's Dubbo, it's all the villages. So it's this fine, beautiful region this morning.
Region. Do you call it region, electorate? Regional, I guess.
It's a local government area. It's not technically an electorate. It's a region. So I know I'm being pedantic there, but I don't want people in Wellington, who I'm sure are avid listeners to your show, to say, hold on, they've forgotten about us in Wellington. We haven't forgotten about you in Wellington. We know you're there.
I just showcase my level of understanding of all things political, calling it electorate. Let's talk about community workshops. I hear there's a few going on at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a series of 20 workshops. Some have already occurred, some are still to occur. And this is all to do with our 2040 strategic plan, community strategic plan. And this is our community consultation at the moment. So we've got a draft document that says, here's what the city will look like, in our opinion, about the year 2040. But most importantly, we want to know what you think the city should look like and the region should look like by the year 2040. So there's a series of workshops. Some are virtual, some are physical. We had one down in Wellington. I went down and attended that one. We had one in Dubbo last night. We've got some more coming up in the villages. You might have even seen some myself or some council staff at things like farmers markets or at the rotunda. So we're really trying to encourage people to tell us what you think, what you want, what are the big dreams you've got. And it is that big picture thinking which is really difficult, because some people say, sure, can you fix the pothole in front of my place? Now, I know that's really important, but hopefully we can dream a bit bigger than your pothole in front of your place by the year 2040. But maybe it'll be just roads free of potholes, might be a bigger picture version of the pothole in front of my place. But it is really important to get that feedback. What we do with that document is we say, here's our long-term plan, here's our long-term vision. But every now and again, for example, federal election coming up, state election next year, we get the opportunity to go to the other levels of government and say, here's our plan, here's what people in our community want. Have you got some money to help us with some of these steps along the way so we can chip away at those ideas?
There you go. Well, yeah, definitely a good way for people to get involved in the future of the city, Matt.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's all online as well. If you don't have time to come to one of the workshops, you're just sitting up late at night, if you just go and Google 2040 Community Strategic Plan, then you'll be able to find that plan. You'll be able to see how you can make comment on that, the submission forms there, send us details, just whatever ideas you have, whatever random things you've got, then they all go in, they feed into the mix, and then when we come up with the final version of that plan, we've looked at all those different ideas from the community and we incorporate those as much as possible into the plan.
Let's talk about a potential event that might be happening on Talbot Street.
Yeah, well, I think it's a bit more than a potential event. It's all full steam ahead. Back in 2019, some people in Dubbo got together and decided that it would be really good to have a motorbike rally here in Dubbo. Now, these are incredibly successful over in America. There is one particular rally in America that has 900,000 bikers attend. Now, I just have to make the distinction here. We're not talking about gangs of bikies. We're not talking about people coming in and carrying baseball bats and committing crimes. There's a huge difference between bikies and bikers. What we're talking about is people that ride motorbikes, that have a passion for motorbikes, and they're typically, when you look at the demographics of them, they're slightly older, they're typically over the age of 45, and they've got good income levels or good monetary levels that they like to travel around on their expensive motorbikes and spend money in those places they visit. So a group of enthusiasts said, we'd love to have one in Dubbo. So they had one in Dubbo back in 2019. They closed off Church Street and it was incredibly successful. About 1,700 bikers turned up. And when you looked at the numbers after that weekend, about $2.4 million extra was spent in our economy on that particular Saturday, or on that weekend. So it seemed like it was very successful. A little thing called a pandemic came along, 2020, 2021, didn't go ahead, as you can understand. So this year, back bigger and better than ever, rather than just close down Church Street, they requested to close down Talbot Street. They believe there were going to be more bikers here, maybe double, maybe 3,000 bikers, maybe $5 million into the economy. Sounded fantastic. Now, that had to end up going to council last week for the official request to close down Talbot Street, because you can't just go and put a couple of barricades up and say, that's it, we've got it closed down. You've got to go through an official process. There were a couple of shopkeepers who were unhappy about that process. They came and presented at council last week, but When you're a councillor, one of the things you've got to do is make decisions, and sometimes those decisions make some people happy, some people sad, and in this case it was either going to be good for the organisers and bad for some shopkeepers, or good for the shopkeepers and bad for some organisers. Council looked at the bigger picture, councillors looked at the bigger picture and said, well, we can understand that some of these shops might have a negative impact on that day, but overall we think it's going to be great for Dubbo. So council officially decided to, yes, go ahead, close the entire length of Talbot Street, or when I say entire length, the shopping part of Talbot Street, close that on the 7th of May. So on the 7th of May, if you're doing nothing or if you're doing something, I'd say go down to Talbot Street, have a look. You'll see an incredible array of motorbikes. There'll be various stands set up that'll be focused on motorbike accessories, but it's a fascinating day to have a look at some of the unbelievable machinery that'll be there on display. And if it's anything like the last one, I spent a couple of hours at the last one just looking around and was just fascinated with what we saw there, and the enthusiasts there, just talking to a few people that came from all over the country. So that's going to be, I think, a really good event for Dubbo.
Yeah, looks like it'll be, and sounds like it'll be really, really good, and definitely looking forward to that. Mayor of the region, Councillor Mathew Dickerson.
Good to chat to you again.